What's up, y'all? Back again. It's me, Curly K. Glam, and I'm here to give you another Grownish review, child. In the words of our sis, Nicki Minaj, we go get into some things. First off, let me just start by saying I wrote a mini list while I was working because, of course, as you know, I watched the episode. I just want to say, excuse my bumminess, I am working from home today because we had snow. So I decided to, watch the episode in between, while I was working or whatever. And, just come to y'all with the tea and my opinion on tonight's episode, like in the words of Charlie Telfie. Okay, so first off, we're going to start off on the episode. Doug and what's his name? Aaron are going to a job fair, which is typical because Doug is a junior. He might be a sophomore junior because I believe he started a semester after everybody. But they are upperclassmen and they're going to job fairs to seek out employment and just basically to network with different people from different companies. And Aaron has on his Sunday best. He's going to face these interviews. And he's nervous because, of course, in the last couple of episodes, we have addressed Aaron's substantial student loan debt. He talking about $100K. Homeboy, that said $196,000. That's $200K, baby. So he's looking for a job. He's basically, going through what typical upperclassmen go through. Shout out to all my super seniors out there because your girl had to graduate in 5 years because I transferred to another school. But, I went through the similar thing. I was, on every website applying to every job months ahead before I graduated. But, that whole process can be quite discouraging, but it's all in your mindset and the way that you, and the goals that you have that you want to obtain. I know sometimes there may seem like there will be, multiple obstacles in the whole graduating and finding a job process, but you have to keep the faith and just know that out of all the no's that you will receive and all the non-callbacks that you will receive, somebody out there is interested in you and you will bring something to somebody's company. Okay, so they start off with the stat saying that I think 44% of white males will be done paying their student loans within the first 10 years or the first 5 years or however many years postgraduate, in comparison to 11% of black males will owe more than what they went to school for. I thought that was an interesting stat, so shout out to Grownish for that because they're definitely addressing issues that are going on right now with this generation and with going to college. Aaron meeting up with Steven Alito. Now, I don't know if y'all are familiar with Blackish, but that the owner's son, the owner of Steven Alito and Josh are two of the main characters from Steven Alito. They work with Dre Johnson, who is Zoey's dad, and so that whole exchange was just weird. But I like how Aaron looked and did his research and found out that Steven Alito actually pays for a substantial amount of their employee student loan debt. So that's a way to give back to the community. So shout out to Steven Alito. Shout out to Steven Alito. But after that whole segment of Aaron getting all those no's, and we'll call you backs, it pans to Zoey going to class. Now Zoey's going to class, and I think this is probably because Grownish never gives us a time frame in which things occur. So, I'm saying it's probably a couple of days after Zoey has bumped into Jillian. I think maybe 2 to 3 days because she's going back to class. And usually in college, you don't have the same classes every day. You have the same class every other day. So I'm thinking maybe it's been 2 to 3 days and Zoey's going back to class and she sees that the only seat open is beside Jillian. And I just wanted to tell y'all, regardless of whether or not Zoey knew, whether or not Luca told Zoey about Jillian and the way Jillian and Zoey found out about each other, I think Jillian handled the situation in a very mature way, which is how most women should react. Zoey was in her feelings, rightfully so. She didn't want to necessarily hate Jillian, but she had a kind of tinge against Jillian because it's just all in the situation that she found out and that she was legit with Luca the day or 2-3 days before he was with Jillian again, which was trifling on Luca's behalf, might I add. But Jillian just being a woman and addressing the situation, she was like, hey, I know the other day was weird, but I didn't know that you and Luca had history, and I just want to say I'm sorry, and I didn't want you to find out about it like that, which was, like I said, grown on her behalf. Now, for Zoey's reaction after Jillian, came to Zoey with that kind of, reaction, that was then Zoey's move in to say something. Like, I don't know, I would have said something. That's just me, because it's no need to sit around here and let Luca play the both of us. Obviously, he played me, he played you, he stuck in his feelings. Okay, that's on Luca's thing. But once Jillian brought that up, that was her open door for Zoey, to be honest with Jillian. I feel like Jillian would not have gotten mad or wanted to fight or would have had no, I feel like she wouldn't have been rude towards Zoey had Zoey just kept it 100 with her. But as you can see, Zoey said, oh no, we're just so history. That was just ancient history, girl. That was not ancient history, sis. That was 3 days ago. Okay. So, we talked about Jillian. We talked about Aaron, his student loan. We're going to talk about Zoey being a bad friend, because I saw a lot of comments on Twitter about that. The interview process, like I said, the interview process in finding a job post-grad or leading up to graduating is just, it can be a very stressful time. And like I said, you just got to keep the faith and keep your eyes on the prize when it comes to that, because in that process, you're trying to put yourself out there. You're basically marketing yourself to all these companies and seeing where you will fit in, and they basically are taking your pitch. And so it's all about your pitch. It's all about how you present yourself. I know, and I know a lot of times when it comes down to interviewing, Black people sometimes feel like they have to work 2 times harder. They feel like they have to come more prepared. And to me, I just feel like, I'm not saying that it didn't happen to me and that I didn't think like that, but sometimes you just got to take your mind off that, because sometimes that adds extra pressure to what it already is that you're doing and what you're going for. So all I'm saying is just keep the faith. My main thing that I kept telling myself, regardless if I'm Black, regardless that I'm a Black woman, my main thing was, out of all these no's that I'm getting, because trust me, I got discouraged, child. And it took a while before I actually got the job that I wanted. But my thing was, I got God on my side. Just keep the faith. And out of all these no's that I'm hearing, obviously that's not the place for me to be. And obviously God has a better plan for me and a place that he wants me to be at. So somebody will tell me yes. And you just got to wait on your yes. And that's all. That's pretty much the only advice I can say for that. I think, okay, so about Zoey. No, I'm going to talk about that last. I'm going to talk about Zoey and the whole Dean Telfie thing last. We're going to talk about Sky and Rodney. Now, I saw that after, I can understand Sky on where she was coming from. Should that be the only thing that she was thinking about was race? No. But it does matter. It does very much so matter. And honestly, in my opinion, I have never dated outside of my race. Was I open to it? Yes, I was open to it. And if the person that I was supposed to be with was not Black, then I would have just had to deal with it. I can't say that I would have never dated outside my race. Have I gotten looked at from guys outside of my race? Absolutely. And I can say that because I attended 2 PWIs, And I just feel like, what did I have my preference of being with a black man? Yes, I did. Did I want to be with a black man? Yes, I did. But had I been with somebody else, I wouldn't have been opposed to it. But would I have been ready to be with somebody outside my race is a thing. And I can't say in confidence that I would be able to handle being with somebody outside my race. Because outside of love, which love plays a major part in every relationship, could I have dealt with everything else on the outside that came with being with somebody from outside my race? I think it's different when you date outside your race and you're dating another person of color. But when it comes to dating outside your race and you date somebody white, I think that it's different. I think that the looks are different. I think that the stipulations are different. I think when you're born, when you have children with a person who is white, is different. And the child is viewed different. The child grows up with a different view of the world opposed to a black child, a child with two black parents. And I definitely think in terms of a white woman being with a black man, that child is definitely raised different in comparison to a mixed child that has a black mom and a white father. I think this is two different things, even though both children are considered black. But I just think that the upbringings are different based on the parents. Should love, like I said, love should always be the factor. But like Sky said, at the end of the day, there's a bonding that happens when you are with somebody of similar cultural background. And I don't think Rodney was white. I thought Rodney was at least mixed, but I'm guessing Rodney is white. They never really clarified whether or not Rodney was white. But it's also, different dating, being a black woman dating a white guy at a PWI. And it's just, it's certain things I feel like a lot of people who are tweeting during the whole Grownish segment, I feel like a lot of them relate solely to the black experience, which is nothing wrong with that. But I feel like I just feel like when you're a black person and you go to a PWI, your eyes are open to a lot of different things that your eyes won't be open to had you gone to a HBCU. So I see a lot of people like dumping on black people at PWIs, which I don't quite care for, because at the end of the day, we're still black. We still go through a lot of things that black people face and go through. We just decided not to go to HBCU. And like I said, I had no problem I don't have no problems with HBCUs. When I was applying for colleges, HBCUs were just on the list, but in terms of my major, which was kinesiology, I ended up at a PWI. And that's just that on that. And I just feel like, especially when it comes, and I think Eloho has been doing, shout out to I Am Eloho. She has been doing a lot of think pieces, her and Yanni Red. I mean, her name's not Yanni Red anymore. Her name is A Real Talk with Yanni. They've been doing a lot of think pieces on black women and dating. And I feel like when it comes to black men and dating, a lot of people are more open to black men dating outside of their race, which is nothing wrong with black men dating outside their race. But when it comes down to black women dating outside their race, the same energy is not pushed out. And like Scott said, Doug and Aaron gave her a lot of heat for dating Rodney, but then they always have their preference, who they particularly go for. So I think that was a nice conversation piece that Grownish tried to add, even though it was too much to tackle in 21 minutes. But I feel like, they bought it up. And lastly, we're going to talk about Aaron and Zoey, the whole situation with them. I feel like, honestly, Aaron at this point is being set up for the Dwayne Wayne treatment. Okay, I know. A lot of people hate the whole Grownish and Different World comparisons, but when you got two black shows talking about a college experience, and you got one show talking about HBCU experience, and then you got one show talking about PWI experience, you still essentially are talking about black children in college. So, and they're talking about their experiences. So the same way that Dwayne Wayne had these student loans and he was smart, he majored in, I think Dwayne Wayne majored in engineering and in math, but because he was black, he had a harder time trying to break into the engineering field, and so he tried to go through this internship he had at Konichiwa Engineering or Enterprises or whatever, when they made like video games and software and computer stuff like that. In order for Dwayne to be set up, he ended up going to grad school, and he ended up becoming a part-time teacher, and he taught, he was a grad teacher, and he taught math to the underclassmen. And so he was doing that to help pay for his school. The same way it ended up with Professor Telfy offering him being his assistant, and then going to Cal U and being a grad student for free. So it was kind of similar. It's kind of the same thing in a sense. And Aaron did all that stressing out. He did all that worrying about not being able to find no job, and everybody saying no, and being so stuck on Zoey not coming through for him. When look at God. Look at God just coming through. Aaron, not only did Aaron get a job, but he's able to further his education for free and not acquire any more student loan debt on top of what he already have. He can help, knock some of that down, and then set him up to pay for, to help him get a better job, once he graduates grad school, to then, set him up better to pay for his student loans. So God came through for Aaron. Look at him. Okay. So I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, I just like, to go on Twitter and to see what other people are thinking, because I know a lot of people are having similar thoughts as me, but sometimes I like to challenge the thoughts that other people are having, because sometimes when you challenge other people's thoughts, that you open other people's eyes to different perspectives, as well as your own eyes are being open to different perspectives. And I saw a lot of people saying that, in a sense, Aaron kind of depended on Zoey for her helping him get a job. He was essentially blaming Zoey because he didn't get a job. He wasn't blaming Zoey for not getting a job. He just asked Zoey to help him get pushed through to get an interview. Now, he was essentially asking Zoey for the hookup. Now, I don't see... Okay, so at this time, I'm just going to explain it the way it came out in my mind. Zoey didn't have a difficult time trying to get clothes over to Joey for Luca. At this point, Zoey and Luca did not have no friendship. They were broken up. So at this point, Zoey didn't owe Luca nothing. But Zoey didn't have no issue outside of... Luca didn't even ask, okay? Point blank period. Luca didn't even ask to have his clothes put on the magazine to get before Joey. Zoey just did it. So at this point, Aaron came to Zoey as a friend, because at this point they don't have no beef, they don't have no issues, they just strictly platonic friends. Aaron came to her to ask her, help me. I know your dad works for this company. They were at the job fair. I met some of his colleagues. Can you just put in a good word for me so that I can get an interview? Because at this point, he had already gotten an email saying that they weren't interested. But with the good word from Andre Johnson, who is VP at Stevens & Lido's, he's VP of the Urban Division. That could have been easy. That could have been an easy way, because that's legit how people network when it comes to finding jobs post-grad. It's all in who you know and who can put in a good word for you. And had Zoey put that word in for Aaron, Aaron would have gotten an interview for Steven Alito, and possibly they would hire him, especially because he was black. Andre probably would have looked out for him, because Andre is for everybody black at this point. So it wasn't that he was blaming Zoey. It's just like, you supposed to be my friend and we supposed to be helping each other, and you didn't look out for me after you said you was going to look out for me. And then she did all this to give him a suit to go in for the interview. Now, Aaron should have called Zoey or asked Zoey, did she do it before he went all the way to Steven Alito? Now, I do think that, because he sat there all day and looked crazy and he didn't know that he had no interview. Zoey just said she would help him. He should have reminded her, because if this is something you really want, I don't care if you got to get on somebody's nerves. You need to remind them of what they said. They said they was going to do something for you. You go, listen, DJ Khaled ain't got a problem, not one, asking somebody multiple times, are they going to do something for him? That's how he gets things done. Aaron should have did the same thing. Before he showed up to Steven Alito, he should have definitely hit Zoey up and was like, hey, did you remember to call your daddy about the interview or whatever like that? That's how you get your name out there. That's how you get things accomplished that you want. Now, I don't think necessarily, like, now, had he went on the interviewed and they didn't like him, at least Zoey looked out. She helped him get the interview. She just completely forgot and just didn't do it because she was so busy. Now, is Aaron trash? Absolutely. Aaron is definitely trash. I probably have said that in multiple videos. Now, he said he was always there for Zoey, and he said something, and I was just like, Aaron, but at the end of the day, there are times in y'all's friendship where you was not a good friend to her. But in this instance, I'm not gonna hold Aaron past with Anna, because that was bad, over his head at this current present time, because bruh need a job. So I just think, I feel like everything that Aaron said to Zoey was something that she needed to hear. Because from Zoey's background, period, if you watch Blackish, Zoey has always been into Zoey only and has always been self-centered, and whatever best fits Zoey is for Zoey. So I think she needed to get chin checked to know, like, it's time for you to grow up. And there's just some things in you that needs to change. And that's okay. And I felt him when he was like, it's taking every inch of my being not to be disrespectful to you right now. Because it's just like, bro, like, all I did was ask you for one thing, bro, and you couldn't do that for me. Now, he was there for Zoey when she needed to be taken to the airport. She called him, he dropped everything and took her to the airport to be with Joey. Also, when she was having trouble with Luca, when Luca first came back from Paris and they wasn't on the same page and they was going through a little rift, he talked to her about that. He also was there for her when Cash broke up with her and Cash broke her heart. Even though his motives was bad, he was still there for her, to let him know, like, he the sucker, you deserve better. You're a good girl and you are something that somebody deserves. He was there for her. He was there for her a few more times other than that, but I just can't remember at this current present time because I'm trying to, make my points while I'm making this video. But, I appreciate Aaron because it's nothing like a well-worded read to make somebody feel small. That sounds very bad of me to say, but honestly, it's one thing to get somebody told and cuss them out. I don't cuss, period, because I just feel like there are other words in the vocabulary that you could say to somebody to get them told the exact same way instead of using such verbiage. But it's one thing to get somebody told and cuss them out, but it's another thing to tell somebody off, use all your proper vocabulary, and then shell out disappointment. Because it's one thing to just yell at somebody and be angry, but to let somebody know that you are highly disappointed in them, that gets the point across. And that's what made, Zoey clutch her pearls, because it hit her in the heart. Like, he was hurt. I felt that hurt through the screen. And I went back and watched that scene again because I'm just like, wow. He really let Zoey know that he was highly disappointed in her. And his feelings was hurt. And he slammed the door in her face. Like, I just couldn't even do nothing but just sit there and just look. And she just started crying. That's all she could do at that point was just cry because it was nothing that could be done after that. Like, honestly, it was nothing that could be done. He just needed help. But honestly, this is why it's important for you to talk to people. Even though Zoey dropped the ball on him getting that interview, he saw her dad and he said something to her dad. And even though it was too late, I told you Drake was for everybody black. He roots for everybody black. He's all in on Issa Rae's philosophy. He roots for everybody black. Dre Johnson is for the blacks. He is for the advancement of blacks. And even though Zoey dropped the ball, he was able to reach out to Charlie because he knew Charlie was the dean at school to help Aaron get that job. So if it wasn't still for Zoey a little bit and Andre, Aaron wouldn't have been able to get that job with Professor Telfie to go to school and all that stuff. So Andre looked out for him, even though he wasn't able to give him a job at Stevens Toledo. So I know this video was very loaded with a lot of things, even though I think the writing for the episode was good. So shout out to Grownish for that. I think Grownish is listening to what their audience wants as well as building the story. I don't think that I saw a lot of people saying, was Ryan replacing Nomi? I don't think Ryan is replacing Nomi, essentially, but I feel like depending upon how the audience receives Jillian, I think they're going to basically Doug her, like how they brung Doug in. Depending upon how the audience receives her, they're going to probably bring her in as a main character. But for right now, she's just a little recurring character with, these people keep saying, I'm tired of seeing her in these little spurts of scenes, but that's what a recurring character is. They're not going to, work you in just like that, but, they're going to, insert her here and there. I feel like, I want to be positive about Zoey and Jillian's relationship, but honestly, I'm just waiting it out because I feel like it has a tendency to get really messy really quick, and all because of Luca. But if they can write them in and be good friends, I'm for it. I'm all the way for it. But I just have this theory that Zoey is pregnant. She don't know it yet, but I got a theory that she's pregnant, and I feel like she's pregnant by Luca. And if she's not, Grownish is painting all of this stuff around Zoey to make her seem like she gonna get pregnant, and then she not. But I feel like during the second half of Grownish, because right now we're on like episode 6, so I feel like by episode 10 something's gonna happen, because Nomi didn't just leave, because they said first semester. So I feel like by episode 10, that's gonna be almost halfway through the season, something's gonna happen, and I think Zoe's gonna find out that she's pregnant. And the reason I say that is because that whole kitchen backslide scene, it was a reason why they wanted us to see that scene, and it was a reason why they wanted to call it the end. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but at the end of the episode where Zoey and Luca broke up for the second time, somebody said, I guess we can call it quits. And then Zoey said, looks like it. She didn't say, yeah, that's it, or it's over. She just said, looks like it. And then in this episode that just went off today, Aaron was like, no, Dre was like, please tell me my baby Zozo ain't pregnant. And Aaron was like, if she is, it's not by me. So I feel like I just feel like they dropping gems along the way. And for people who pay attention, they pick them up, and for those who ain't, you're gonna be shocked by the time the episode comes. But that's just my theory. I feel like they setting us up, y'all. So keep your eyes open. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at CurlyKGlam. Don't forget to check out my other Grownish reviews if you're catching up on Grownish. I drop my links in the Grownish hashtag all the time. So if you into Grownish and this is like one of your favorite shows, check on the Grownish hashtag on Twitter. That's where everybody be dropping all their stuff and where all the theories be at. The Grownish hashtag be kind of lit on Twitter. Like I said, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at CurlyKGlam, and I'll be back with more Grownish reviews. And also check out my hair reviews if you're here for beauty. Deuces.